Hello, in this video we are going to set up your tools class in JavaScript. Developing a tools class is a great thing to do when you are learning to program. In fact, at all points of programming, because it's a nice way to kind of collect a lot of simple functions that you might use over and over again, and it's a great place to kind of test out and try ideas. So with that said, let's put one together here. So in JavaScript we're going to make a new tools class, and I'm going to call my tool class $PM. So my first initial, my last initial, and notice here I'm making a pure JavaScript file. I'm not making an HTML file. Remember, HTML is used to kind of set up the web page, and then we can run JavaScript through HTML. What I'm going to do essentially is make a JavaScript file, and that's going to house a whole bunch of functions that I can access. And this is nice because now I can have a bunch of different HTML files that use those common functions, and I don't have to put them in the HTML. I can put them in this one spot and just pull them as I need them. So I'm going to hit OK, and I can make a really easy function just to see if it works. We're going to call this function. This function is going to be my tool class. And all this is going to do is say alert tools class working. So I have this JavaScript file, but I've nothing to run it in because this doesn't, JavaScript in this sense doesn't have a main method to run in the same way that Java does or C. It has to be run through an HTML file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make another new file, but this is going to be an HTML file, and this is going to be my tool tester. So if I come into my body now and I zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to put a script tag in here, I can of course write some JavaScript in here, and I wrote this function, my tools class. So if I go my tools class, and then so I've typed this in, and I give this a whirl, and nothing's happened. The question is, why did nothing happen? So let's go back and take a look at things here. So did I spell the function name right? Yep. My tools class. My tools class. The problem is that it doesn't know where to look for it. It doesn't have access to this. In order for an HTML page to access the functions contained within this JavaScript file, I need to actually indicate that. Now there's lots of ways to do this. I am simply going to do one way to do this just to allow us to test these functions quickly. And I always like to talk about how I do this. Is I just did a quick Google search for adding external JavaScript file to HTML page. And you get this. So what I need is I need to put in my program somewhere, and I'm going to put it just under my head. I'm going to add this script tag with a source component. And I'm going to make that source component my tools class. And now if I run it, my tools class is working. So what that means is that this file, tool tester, has access to any function that I write inside my tools class here. Now, just to be upfront, there's lots of subtleties with this. I am just really doing this quickly so that I can test this out. There's lots of things you need to kind of research and look at about the best place to kind of put this, and that gets into the weeds a little bit. We just want to set this up so this runs. So let's add one more tool in here. So what's the tool I'm going to add? Well, let's add a function, and maybe what this function is going to do is it's going to generate, I'm going to call it gen random, and I'm going to pass it a parameter a. And what this is going to do is it's going to return math.random times a. So essentially what this is going to do is it's going to take math.random, which generates a random number from 0 inclusive to 1 exclusive, and multiply it by a. So if I come back to my tools class now, I'm going to comment this out, and I'm going to type in gen random, and I'm going to say 100. And I'll run this. But nothing happens. I didn't get any errors in my console, so it seemed to access it. And in fact, if I come over here and I do something like console.log, gen random function, and I come back to my tool tester and I run it, sure enough, it's been invoked. So why is nothing happening? Well, the reason why nothing's happening is because genRandom returns a value, but I haven't actually done anything with it. So there's a couple ways you can manage this. I'm going to console.log it, and there we go. And now when I run it, what I've done, there's my random number. Every time I load the page, I get a new random number. So this is something just to be aware of is, generally speaking, your functions are going to return some value, and to test it, you're going to have to either console.log it, or you might use the alert function. Now maybe I'll just do one last thing before I go. Maybe I want these to be in integers. Let's zoom in a little bit. So I can convert this to an integer using a nice function called the parseInt function. And essentially parseInt takes whatever is passed to it and converts it to an integer, simply by chopping off the decimals. So now if I come in here and I run this, now every time I run this I get this nice random integer value. I hope you found that useful, and as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Have a great day.